Well, today is Saturday, and I finally received the last parts that I'm going to need to put this thing back together, and that's the gasket. Well, it goes right here. And this bearing plate goes on there, and there's 3 shims in there. And you have to put it together with the shims, and then you check end play up inside there, and then adjust shims if need be. You know what? I sure don't enjoy doing this. But hopefully when I get done it will run. I'm not doing a complete rebuild like George is. He bought a full set. And I finally went out and bought one of these ring compressors and a ring spreader tool, piston ring installer tool, because I don't have those. And I will rarely ever use them, but now I have them just in case. So Monday morning I will be on this thing and hopefully get it put back together on Monday, and then I'll lower that puppy back in here. But I'll tell you, she's a heavy one. I hope I can remember how everything goes back together. Yeah. And then George requested videoing me using the winch to lower an engine into a lawnmower. I enjoy it. That's a back saver, that's for sure. It is Monday morning, and it's time to put this thing together. One thing I don't have is a tool that lines up these balance gears. That's what the balance gear looks like. There's 2 of them, an upper and a lower. I found a video put out by I Save Tractors, and it's called How to Install Balance Gears on Your Kohler K series engine. I believe that's the name of the video. So what he did is he instructed to go X amount. I'm not going to tell you what the numbers are because I might get them wrong. You'll have to watch the video. You start at the land by this dot, and you count X amount over and make a mark. You want to color the tooth on your crankshaft that's X amount from the timing mark, and then it's going to line up. Let's see if I can show you down in here. There it is. You can see the dot on the camshaft, and if it would focus, anyway, you can see the pink dot, and that pink dot is one of the teeth on the crank that's colored. And right now you can see I don't have it pounded in all the way, and that's what I was doing when I remembered to grab my camera or my phone, whatever. And then you're just going to tap that in there until it's all the way in. Then I got to finish watching the video to see what I do next. I have all this installed, and I'm confident that I have it done right. You'll see a dot on this balance gear. If I can get this light in the right spot. It's at the bottom of that balance gear. See that dot? That has to line up with that mark on the crankshaft. I have an S on there, that's secondary. The mark to the left is the primary. So I've double checked everything. And we should be good. I've got this bearing plate on, and I need to go downstairs and get the torque specifications for that. And Then what is next? Probably putting that oil pan on the bottom, I would reckon, but we'll see. Ooh, I don't like this. This is too technical for me. All right, having said that, I like doing this kind of thing with close tolerances, but I am not set up for doing this kind of stuff. Neither do I have the knowledge. Just what I've been learning on YouTube. I would feel a lot more comfortable under the teaching of some experienced person who is right here with me. I am confident that I've got all the guts in there proper, so I ain't worried about that. Now, you're supposed to use feeler gauges to make sure you have the right kind of end play and whatnot. I didn't change a lot of that stuff, so it's going to be the same as what it was before. If it ran before, it should run again. I am not going to be concerned about end play. So, but the problemo is the diameter of that piston is such that it's not going down in there. I mean, I could probably take a sledgehammer and pound it down in there, but I'm not going to do that, of course. So I got to hone that out some. Man, look at how long that is. There's a lot of cylinder there, I tell you. Oh, man. I'm going to mess this up. Guaranteed. Well, it was messed up when my brother-in-law bought it, so if it's messed up when he gets it back, that's just messed up. And I got some corn nuts and stuff. Back out here in the shop, it's raining. I ordered some hones so I can hone that out, and said that the biggest one could go up to 3.5 inches. Well, I don't know what I do with them. I should return them, but I might be able to use them for...
What am I doing with the camera?
Might be able to use them on some chainsaw board. Let me turn this thing around. Aren't these the cutest little things? Yeah, that's not gonna work, and I'm gonna probably have to borrow the hone from the hardware store. Yay, I got the right one. All right, now we in business. Yes, sir. All right, the piston is in. I have torqued down to specifications. The oil hole is facing the cam side of the engine. I believe I'm ready to put that pan on there. Yes, sir. Well, I'm trying to remember everything that I did. I do this every time. It's fresh in my memory when I take it apart. Then I bank on the fact that I'll just have the new parts quickly and therefore be able to put it back together. That's not the case every time. And I don't know, I'm missing a bolt here, which is no big deal. I can just go to my junk and get one, but it bugs me because I'm very careful about taking care of that stuff. I've looked all over. It's not laying around the shop. I put stuff in bags, and I put stuff in this tote. So far it has not showed itself. I will probably find one over there in the junk and then put it on, and then it'll show up. All right, so this thing is tightened down with 2 set screws. This Okay. Okay, so I need to knock this over with a punch until that's tight. Then I can put this piece on, lining up the 3 holes with the 3 notches. The clutch is back together. These parts are getting worn out. You can get all that to rebuild this style of clutch, but we're not going that far. I put some oil in it. It's just shy of being full, because I certainly wouldn't want to forget to do that later, don't you know? So I found that other bolt that I was missing here, and it was just sitting on the, where you put your foot down on the lawnmower there. I don't know which holes all these go into, and I won't know until I lower it back onto the rider. And that's when I will go through the process of torquing down the head. Then you run it for a little while, and then you have to torque it down again. Wonder if I'll remember to do that. We'll see. I am just about done for the night. I'm not sure yet. I believe I'm ready to lower this down into the tractor. There's a little bit of a greasy mess down in the bottom that I'd like to get cleaned up a little bit. I'm not worried about getting it perfect, but this was a nightmare trying to figure out where everything goes. I finally figured these out. Whatever's left over there is self-explanatory. Now, one thing that I can't figure out, and my 1250 was the same way. You familiar with hydrostatic lawnmower? On the newer ones, there's a little rod that you would pull out, and then you can push it. As far as I know, these old tractors didn't have any kind of a thing like that. And, man, they're not easy to, falling over, they're not easy to push. Now my knees are locked up. Somebody help! Get help! As near as I can tell, I'm ready to drop that thing in there. I have my battery hooked up with my leads to my controller up there. So, if I can do this without tripping over everything, if I was smart, I'd take this hood off. We'll make it work. Down arrow. Up arrow. Okay. Scoot this closer to the lawnmower. Here's the scary part. Please don't snap. I don't like this part. I don't like it at all. They're supposed to be over there more. All right, so I had Amy bump the hoist up while I kind of manhandled this. Now, I mean, if it would have snapped, I would have had to let it go because this thing's heavy. But I wanted to get that centered, so we're good. Down arrow. gotta be mindful of this thing that I'm not smart enough to remove first. Well, up arrow. Maybe I ought to move that thing. I don't know. Hey, you know what I did? Down arrow. Oopsie daisy. I don't know who Daisy is, but oopsie on her anyway. Okay, so we're going to push down there. How did I do that? Alright, so I'm going to move that box out of the way because I don't want to break it. Okay, let's try this again. Are you watching, George? Okay, it is down in there. It's got to get lined up, but nothing. I got to do something, but I don't know what next. So, all right, I put the 4 bolts in, and I got smart. Instead of just letting the weight of the engine sit on the frame, I lifted up just enough to where I could get the 2 back bolts most of the way in. The front ones are underneath right where that axle is, so you have to jack up the front and let it articulate, and then you got to put them in by hand and tighten them with a wrench. You can't use a socket on those. I tighten them all with a wrench anyway. So that's in. I tightened down the drive shaft, and that's an easy one to get to. I've had them working on a newer Cub Cadet, newer by like 20 years old, and you couldn't just get to it like that. Nope. Nightmare. Now generator is next, I do believe. Oh, now unfortunately I'm gonna have to disassemble that clutch because that pulley needs to slide back a little bit. It ain't the end of the world. It's just gonna be a little tricky. So I readjusted all that down there, the clutch I had to take off, scoot the pulley back, put the clutch back on. That's all good. Put the muffler on, put the air breather on, which I'll probably have to take off when I hook up the throttle cable and the choke, you know, unless I want to get down on the floor and kink my neck to look up. We'll see. What is next? I believe putting on these covers on the top. But you know what? I probably should hook up the throttle and the choke right now. Yeah, I can't put those covers back on. Do that last because I got to figure out the bolt pattern, get everything tightened down, get it running, and let it run. I don't know if they said a half an hour. I'll have to read that again. Well, compared to yesterday, it's tomorrow. And I got all this figured out. some of those studs were in the wrong place. So I had to redo that. I torqued it down. I was supposed to run it for a while and then torque them down again, but now I got to take all that stuff off there. It ain't running yet, but I'm ready to fire it up. I got the battery in. I got the cables hooked up. The only thing I could not figure out is the return spring for the carburetor. I did not take a picture of that. As far as I could tell, I couldn't see anything there. And I've only got one piece, one extra part, that I cannot figure out where it goes. And that's that little guy right there. And you can see there's a bit of a groovy groove on there, which would indicate to me that like a spring was riding on there, but I don't know where it goes. Like I say, the only thing I couldn't figure out is that return spring. You can't have too much tension on it. There's no hole anywhere where that would hook to that, and the end on there that's curled doesn't fit on that. That peg is too big a diameter. Who cares? Let's go ahead and open up the gas, and then we'll fire it up. Okay, gas should be flowing. I see it moving around, and there's some dirt in there. Oh boy. Let's see what happens. We got her choked already. She fired. Yeah, it's alive.
Okay. Making sure you're okay.
It's alive. The old guy had the grill out, and when I tell you what the reason why is, I wish I would have known that back when I had my 1250. He removed the grill, and he made this plywood. I don't know what that goes to, but I took the wing nuts out. I don't know. He made this one to go up there. And the reason being is if you just leave it factory and you've got this hooked up, the exhaust heats up the chute and your snow melts and it gets clogged in there, and you're always out there unclogging it. Hopefully without the auger going around. So he put that on there to deflect the heat and cut down on the heat hitting it, and it worked for him. And I never thought of such a thing. I don't know where that goes. It goes over something. He said, but he didn't show. So if this bracket has something to do with this, which it don't. I don't know. Maybe that's where it goes. Yep, that's where that goes. And I borrowed, I was going to put that back there. I borrowed that from my brother-in-law back in 2017. And I've had it ever since. I was going to throw that back there, but this might go right straight to the auction. And so I better not put it back there. I'm going to assume that I know what all is in here, but we're not worried about it. Maybe this goes back there too. Look at that. That's where that goes. Yeah. Yeah, don't know where it goes. Okay, so the deck was hooked up on this when I got it. I may not hook up anything to it because it's not fun, I'm telling you. All right. So that concludes, well, it don't conclude. I will refrain from saying that because I guess I got to take it outside for a drive. But not right now. I'm going on break. Time for a test drive. It's probably going to fail. You know. It doesn't feel like I have any brake pedal either. Yeah, I had to, yeah, I didn't tighten that down. Okay, let's try it again. Yeah, nothing's happening. I don't know why it won't go frontwards and backwards. Always something. Well, we'll let it run. Got to do that anyway. I didn't disconnect anything that had to do with the drive, so I don't know. Crawl under it, I guess, and take a look around. Remember that? I found out where it goes. Yuck, yuck, yuck. I heard this awful racket. And I thought, oh no, is the motor getting ready to blow up? Because it was back in this here region. And the motor's spinning, but the shaft weren't. You see that slot? Well, there's a hole in the rod there, the drive shaft, so that pin goes through there. I remember now. So after I take another break, we'll get that fixed. All right, so I didn't take a break. I was anxious to get out here and put that pin back down in there, which I did. And let's give this a try again. Start. And that's it.